G'day and welcome to part, I'm going to say 6, of the CB350 build. And, okay, where do I begin? Alright, so the last couple of nights, I've been out here tying up nuts and bolts and bits and pieces onto copper wire and taking everything to Warner's Metro. They're the only plater I've been to that I really like. And so I sort of went there, because they don't do the small stuff anymore, they sublet it out, and I didn't want to do that, and I said, look, what can I do to help, because I just want to come here. I've tried three or four other platers, I can't remember, and they're the only ones I really like, so they've helped me and everything's off getting plated. I'm not waiting on any other parts aside from the frame section for the 350, so then I can sort of cut that and start tacking bits and pieces on it, then of course weld it properly, sandblast it, powder coat it, all that. So all the powder coating here, nothing's gone away yet. And the same with the hydroblasting. Right. Having said that, I took the top case. I had a couple of comments. First with comments, I haven't answered any on the last couple of videos because I just haven't had time. And please don't be disconcerted with that, because I do read every single comment and I value them, you know. So I just haven't had time to get around to doing all that. I'll answer. Normally I'd try to answer 20 or 30 comments from every video, and I just haven't had time to do it. The case, the top case. One guy said, why are you splitting the cases? Right. The tensioner was absolutely destroyed, and you'll see in this video there's a bit of close up on the tensioner, or the break where it was, and the fact that it's been drilled right off center. So it is crucial that that's right, because the cases are matched, and they're matched with the crank, and all the bearings look to be alright. I haven't measured them yet, but they look to be alright. So it's prudent that that case, being the top one with the engine number, has to be done right. Now I took it to work, and an engineer looked at it and he said, look, I can probably have a go, but I just don't want to damage it. It's a specialist thing. So I went to another engineer in Bayswater. He sent me to another guy. He said the same thing, and he got one of his other guys to come out, and both of them looked at it and scratched their heads. And they sent me to another guy who apparently submerges them and zaps them off electrically to get rid of the bolts, to get rid of the bolt fragments. I can't remember the name of the process. They do it when you break a tap as well. They electrically sort of zap bits and pieces of it out. Don't recall what it's called. So this guy has got it, and he reckons, yeah, I can do it. And it was funny because he has a Year 7 kid at my school. I don't know the kid, but I probably should have just stood up in a Year 7 assembly and said, anyone's dad fix motorbike cases. So that case is off at the engineers at the moment. Right, I want to thank someone, and he's a very, very humble gentleman, and he didn't want me to make a fuss. I'm just going to name as Phil, and I've thanked him profusely anyway in person and also by email. He's donated a set of, this is just one of them, 1mm oversize pistons for the 350 build. So I'll get the barrels bored to each individual piston, so we'll clearance well. And he also donated a full engine gasket kit. So that is absolutely priceless. He came over, we had a good chat. He's got a Quacker Z50 and a couple of KLRs, and it was just such a pleasure meeting him, so thanks. You know who you are. What else is there? What else is there? I can't remember what's in this video. I don't put any effort into video production, and it sounds bad, but I actually don't, because if I did a lot of effort or put a lot of effort into that, I wouldn't have any time to do this, because I've got my school work to do, and I've got a heap of work to do there, and the fact I've got kids and all this sort of stuff. And so I come out here and I'll do half an hour, and it's too cold, so I'll get annoyed with it and go inside. And then I'll come out again, do a little bit more, and I just do it when I can. And so that's the reason why when you watch a video I repeat myself. The only thing I do when I put them together is make sure I say things that are right, because sometimes I'll call something by the wrong name. So I'll cut that out, and swearing and that sort of thing, because some of the parents and kids at the school watch this stuff, so I always make sure I sort of get rid of that sort of thing. We've got everything here, parts-wise, on most things. I haven't got the primary drive chain, and I haven't got the timing chain, and I'm going to get a new timing set, or a timing, what do you call it? Guide set, if you know what I mean, tensioner set for it, because there is some wear on these parts. The rest of the engine looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this video. I've got some more video. I've got to do put the forks together on the 750, got everything for that. I haven't started lacing the wheels for the 750 or the 350 yet. So I've got the rims there. I'll show you the rims. Have a look at this. So the 750 rim is this DID Honda genuine replacement item. And this thing, $90 US. By the time I had it posted out and paid GST and transferred Aussie dollars and all that, it was sort of 240 bucks. But it's still cheaper than getting the other one re-chromed. These ones aren't genuine Honda ones. They're replica ones, I suppose you'd say. I don't know what you call that. There's a front and a rear. And these are about, I think, 90 bucks US for the pair. And they look to be really, really good. So we can keep the hubs and spokes. The hubs I want blasted as well to get rid of all the paint. And we'll reassemble these rims. And then we can put them sort of back on when we get the frame back. So we can move ahead with both of those bikes. The other one is the GSX, the 400, and some guy had a crack at me because I sort of spoke down about it. I certainly wasn't talking down about the bike, I'm talking down about the condition of it. Now, I took some footage of it, but I'm not going to release it yet because I'm not going to touch it yet. There's a lot of really good on that bike. The frame's brilliant. The fork stanchions are brilliant, so I don't need seals, and that's the forks redone. Swing arm, even the chain and sprockets isn't too bad. The engine, I didn't get oil pressure, but the oil's low. And I didn't try it for long. The compression doesn't look that great, but as I keep complaining, my compression tester is pretty ratty. Let's just have a look at something quickly. Hang on a minute. So although I've talked down really badly about this bike, there's a couple of really, really good things. As I said, the frame's mint. I've got an idea. I don't like how high it sits. One thing, the 350, the cafe build, that as far as it got, was the guy had it looking low and sort of lean. It looked fantastic. This thing here, I've got a couple of ideas and I'm keen to get comments on this. I'm thinking of docking that back bit off. I can put a hoop on it. I'm not worried about that. Cut this back. That's awfully high. There's a heap of ground clearance under that rear guard. I want that flat. And I can put a steel rear guard on. I'm only thinking, I mean, if someone wants this, I'll probably just sell it. I don't know. But there's an awful lot of good in terms of the engine's a beaut looking engine. Mechanically it's not that great, but it actually is an attractive looking thing. So is the rest of the bike. I'm thinking of maybe if we go ahead with this, what do you call it? Hydroblast in the wheel rims and powder coating them clear. Going back to silver on those, I can paint this tank colour and sort of simplifying all this. The only thing I don't like about the instruments is this bit here. I'm thinking of ditching that whole middle part and just having the two dials with a small warning light panel somehow. I haven't given it much thought. But the overall thing, for the money I spent on this, it looks really, really good. It'd be good if the wheels are a little bit smaller because I could make it lower and that sort of thing, but that's worthy of consideration. So with all that being said, we'll get into this one. The next one will probably be 750, the next video. I really want to get that thing up on its wheels. I haven't ordered the rear wheel rim for it yet, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal to finish that off. I think it's going to be fairly straightforward. In fact, I think it's all pretty much fairly straightforward. But anyway, look, I hope you enjoy. Right, so we've got lots of bikes and bits and cars in bits and all that sort of stuff here. Just bits everywhere, basically. And it's difficult to orchestrate what we're going to do next, which I never try to do because I just do what I feel like doing. Which is why it's a hobby. The moment there's pressure, it becomes a job, and we're not going down that road. Now, what I've decided with this, these are very good fasteners, but I just don't like them on this vintage engine. I want pan head, JIS, or Phillips head. There's a UK seller selling these, and they're quite cheap in pan head, but, you know, I think he's got them advertised as Phillips. So what we need to do first, before we do anything else, and don't forget some of these are 1/4 inch course and others are 6B1. So there's going to have to be some recoil inserts put in those. But I'm just going to sort of divide them up into their appropriate length. So I know full well what I have to order in terms of correct sized fasteners. So I'm just going to pick out all these ones which look the same. They're all longer, I'm pretty sure. And these ones are all 30mm. So of the 30mm ones, I've got, there should actually be another one of those. There was another, one of those in the opposite side of the valve cover. But anyway, look, we've got 3, is it 6, 9, so we'll get 10 of those. Move you down a bit, like that. Perhaps a little bit further. So I'll take the cranky out. Now, pretty easy to take these things out. Oh, hang on, we're going to take that tension off. We have to take that off. I forgot about that. Just a moment. This is the hoop that travels underneath the crank. We need to take it off before we can remove the crank. I'm just going to loosen it. Again, we've got dirty hands, and we shouldn't have dirty hands, but we have, right? There's a couple of design elements on this that I wish they'd taken from the 750. One is the tensioner. It should have been behind the barrels like on the 750. But the rest of it, on the other thing, sorry, is it needed a tensioner for the primary as well. This thing flapping around is no good. Having said that, the actual design of it in some ways is a lot better. Hang on. Is it undone already? That wasn't very tight. In fact, I'll show you on the lower case. It's all lubricated from the lower case, which is just so much more efficient. There's no large O-ring going down onto the going between the cases for the main feed. Cool. And so we always bag these things so we know what they are. They'll be hardened ones. And look at this thing here. That should just come out. This is the bit I'm nervous about, the damage that could have been done before. Right, so that will withdraw from there, and that pivots in a very, very stiff way, so that might need to be cleaned up a bit. And that's the guy that's stuck. Now, what I did think of in a stroke of genius is that I will take the cap off the back of this and just tap it through, but it's got a step on it. It's flat in the section where the pinch bolt hits it, and then there's a shoulder at the bottom, so you can't actually push it through. So that wasn't ever going to work. So what we're going to do now is get a bolt in here, and you're going to have your view stifled. Just a moment, please. We're still going to have your view stifled. I'm just going to lift up against there. Okay, this one's stuck a bit here. Probably because somebody's put Honda Bond or something there. That is jammed. What's the best way of attacking that? I don't want to lever against anything. I think we'll just give it a soft tap. It's the seal. That seal is stuck good. Right, here we go. I'm just going to take it out like this, fuck it. Good. Always lie him down. Safe and sound. Toward the back. And it can stay there. And divulge the bearings in all their beauty. I need a clean rag to wipe these out. There's a bit of wear on that, but not too much. On the whole, it's bloody fantastic. Right, and the outer two have, well, they've all got holes in them, but these ones are ported up, and that's where the overhead gear gets its oil from. It's a brilliant, brilliant lubrication system. It's absolutely wonderful, in fact. Quite astonishing how good it is. So I think we'll pop this out, as we did before, and we'll wrap those in newspaper. I must apologise for my rubbish camera work when I was taking the gear mechanism apart. I was being careful to get a close-up. Actually, let me have a look at something. Does that seal just pop off? Yes, it does. Easy. I'll order a seal kit too. Not that this thing needed pretty much anything, but anyway, we'll wrap those up, just put them to the rear. Go get some more paper. And you little bugger, you can come out. Ooh, we don't want to lose those. I want to talk about these too. So we'll just stick that in the paper as well. It's not a lot about Japanese stuff. It's designed with the technician in mind. This is really cool. I'll show you why. We've got these keepers. There's two of them. God, I'm slippery. Those two there. And there's these little keepers here for the bearings. And we bag these. We don't want to lose those. We really, really do not want to lose those suckers. So if I can pop that out, these are quite, there's a bit of a vacuum behind there because it's a blind hole, but we need to bag those like now. So love a triple tree, doesn't really look like it, but we can stick those in there. And these guys in here, God, they're so slippery. We'll put them in our CB350 box. I know what they are, but I'll just rub that out anyway. It's okay to reuse bags if they're not dirty. We've got to get the shift drum out. We've got to get this little idler out, and that. I want to turn around and have a look at this. That means we're taking the bearing shells out. We're reusing them, which normally I would never ever do, but because this has been ridden recently, it's not a big deal. These are colour coded. There's a bunch of stampings on the back of the lower case which tell you where they go. And you can't just get them like car ones. You can't just get an oversize and chuck them in. They're all sort of color coded in different factory oversizes. So I'm wrapping them individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, upper and lower. So it's just a matter of, it doesn't really matter if you screw up the order as long as you remember how you did it. So we'll just sort of wrap these up. Being very careful not to put any pressure on them. And just to also put them exactly where they came out on refitting, because they're worn into the crank in a specific way. So that is number 4 up, because I've taken a video I won't forget, like that. And that's how I'm doing it. I mean, it's probably, I know, probably a bit stupid, but most people would say just replace them, but I did it on the 750, then regretted it. There's nothing wrong with the bottom end in this machine, so I don't see any point in replacing something that doesn't need it. Need to knock this. I think this has been apart before, you know. I'm not sure. Hey, come back. But it looks like it's been apart. I just don't know. But one thing is worrying me about these bearings. Putting old bearings back in is just something I've never done. Well, I have on an English engine and it failed. But this isn't supposed to be a rebuild. We're cleaning something up and just replacing a few key parts. I buy all new stuff. We've got stretch steel bolts on the small ends, bearings and all this stuff, and I just don't want to do that. So I'm in a bit of a pickle with that. And I'm sort of thinking to myself, well, imagine if it went and there was nothing wrong with the tension, I wouldn't have done any of this, you know. I've got to wait till I get that other bit out first. I might just plonk that back in and take the gear shift bit off. This is all uppercase here. I want to keep that together. And there's this guy here with a spring on it. So the spring sits against that ledge, which I've not the foggiest if you can see. There's a little ledge there which the spring's sitting against. It's also wrapped around that detent thing for the pardon me, selector drum. So why don't we get that off? Having a good look at how it went. There we go. That's got a lot of tension on it. Let me think about this. Can I push that? Geez, that's got a lot of pressure on it. Probably really freaking unadvisable doing it this way, but there we go. There's not that much twing there. Let me have a look at this. These are pressed in on the 750. These were separate, these steps. So that went like that. No, it didn't. It went around there like that. We've got this little thing here that's that holds the shaft in, and also the selector drum. So it does two things there. It might be worth just rebuilding the thing, but as I said, I just don't freaking want to. I've got too much other stuff to do here, and this wasn't on the plan, on the list of plans anyway. So it's one of those things. Do we really want to get engrossed in that stuff? That's 12 mil. Alrighty. Okay, so there's a lock on top, and that large surf fits underneath. And then that guy's going to come out. But Let's take a looky. Right. So, theoretically speaking, that shift... crap, that's not good. We can throw a screw in there, a bolt in there, if I just get a 6mm one, and that will aid us in pulling it out like that. Just watching where those studs go. And these all have to be kept in the right order. So one goes that way. Because these sorts of things can get confusing if you don't put them back the right way. And then we can take the shift out, the shift drum. If indeed it's going to come. Now there's a little pintle there that's hitting that. I don't know if you can see that. That will be neutral, I would think. And there's a bearing there too. So how does that come out? Does it come out with a screw stick? Yes, it does. And there's a little bearing, again in absolutely gorgeous condition. Then I'm tipping this is going to be easy to get out now. But it's slippery as hell. Hang on. Jolly good. Whee! Okay. Now this little neutral thing here, that's part of a switch. Is there a switch there? Oh yes, there is. Just wrap them together, just like that. Pretty mucky and messy and all that sort of stuff. But it's a system that that I'll understand when it comes time to reassemble. It'd be really easy to understand. In fact, this thing's a doddle so far. There's nothing difficult about it at all. So everything's all bagged. I've just got to get this switch out. And then our top case is completely devoid of anything, really. Keep talking about these. These are the ones I got off eBay. That's what the package looked like. There's actually 3 Phillips type and 1 slotted. I was worried. I was wrong before. And you can see it will use that one. Should I pop this up so you can see what the heck I'm doing? Yes, that might be more, but there's oil in there. Hang on a minute. It's really clean. Like everything's just so clean. It's squeaky in this thing. Just give it a tap. I keep talking about not using carpenter's hammers, but I keep doing it just because I'm lazy. Okay, can it come out? Oh, look at that. Works every time. It's a freaking treat. There we go. There's a little O-ring around there too. Not a bad idea to check the integrity of that, but everything on these things is pretty much workable inside the machine anyway, inside the engine. Inside the bike, I should say. And I don't need to tag it, I know exactly what it is. And I'm videotaping bloody well everything, so that just goes in the box of goodies. I think he's drilled that in the bike. It's all over the shop. You're not going to be able to see this with this light because it interferes with what you're looking at. But that is a ruddy mess. My God, that's a mess. It's like half of the bolt's still there at the top here. Probably as best I can get into it there, and it looks like it's broken apart. It's a mess in so many different ways. Is that clearer for you to see? I'm using the camera actually to see what the heck I'm doing. That is such a mess. I think that's a job for an engineering joint. I really do. I don't think that's something I can do here. Because among other things, I'm having a lot of trouble seeing it. I've just got a rag in there now on the end of a screwdriver. Just trying to get rid of some of the damage and some of the grease and muck in there. But yeah, I wanted to take that out, which we can take that out. This bolt here, this nut. I'm just going to zoom out again. Here. But that's just a cap. It doesn't do anything. It's just got an aluminium sort of washer behind it to seal it. And that's where your pintle is. That's the trajectory of your pintle. So I wanted before to hit the back of the pintle and push it out. I mean, if it would tap out, which would take the stress off that and sort of unwind it, but I don't think I can do that because, as I said, there's a step there. So let's have a chat about this. As we said, we're going to change the primary drive chain and the timing chain. We don't know how slack the timing chain is really, but given we have a seized adjuster, we don't know when that damage happened, we don't know anything about it, and it's a good chance that it's knackered. So we're not going to change the guides for the primary. They're looking pretty good nick, but I think we might change these ones for the timing chain. We'll put the old bearings back where they were and we'll clearance them. If they're within spec, we're leaving them. I do not want to spend a heap of money on this, and if it's within spec, it's fine. Now the deal is this: if we put new main bearings in, well, let's start again. If we overbore the cylinders a millimetre, which we're going to do, new rings, fresh bores, all this, it's going to put more pressure on these main bearings, marginally. So if they're not within spec, it would be stupid to put them back. That being said, a set of new main bearings and big end bearings and stretch steel conrod bolts, if we need to put those in, is going to be another $600, and I'm not going down that road. Given that this thing's going to be ridden much anyway, I don't think it's worth doing that if they clearance are right. Now, having said that, if 5 or 10 years down the track it's noisy or I don't like it, it's actually not hard to get this engine out. It's an absolute doddle. We can actually leave the top end on, stick it upside down like this, and just take the bottom off. All the gear sets and everything are in here. The only thing we need to do is release the cam chain, the timing chain from the camshaft, take that out. It's actually easy to take this out without taking the sort of the cylinders, the barrels and all that sort of stuff, like the head and all that sort of, they can all stay there to do that job if we need to use down the track. But I can't foresee that being a problem because I don't think there's anything wrong with those bearings and they're going to be fine. Every gearbox bearing we've looked at has been well within spec in terms of being very free in its motion and, you know, no raspiness or anything like that. The bearings are all fine in the gearbox. The gearbox teeth are right. At selected gears, there's actually really nothing wrong with it. We're just repairing what needs to be repaired in this case. So fingers crossed that they all clearance well. I think they'll be alright. I'm hoping they'll be alright. So as we said, we'll take this to work, clean these up, and I'm giving it to an engineer to do this bolt up here, the timing one. I tried to put a large easy out in it, this one up here, and it's bitten into the sidewall because it's been drilled right off centre. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get somebody else to do it. So I think for now we'll put this down. We won't worry about it. We'll forget about it and work on something else. And that will be the rest of the bike. I want to blow this apart. Some of these bits I'll replace as well. Those rims, those painted black rims look good, but they don't look the way I want them to. So I'll retain those hubs. I'll get them blasted off, polish them up, use those spokes again because they're stainless, and just replace the hoops. We'll reuse the tyres. We'll reuse the rear shocks. I'll get that black taken off and see what that's like underneath. Hopefully the swing arm bushes are alright. It's not a big deal if we have to change those, and we'll plate various fasteners like the stay here for the back brake and the mounting hardware. This all looks pretty good. I think they look almost new, these shocks. It's a damn shame with being painted, but we'll get around that somehow. But I want to get this thing naked because we want to start taking paint off in these areas to start welding these other bits on. Fortunately, Eric had found the inner rear guard. I think I mentioned that too. I can't really remember what I've talked about, what I haven't. So when I weld this stuff, I don't want bits of red hot metal hitting this tyre, so I'm going to take all this off, and I'll mount the frame on a milk crate or something like that while I'm welding to keep it safe from damage. I'll start by removing some bits and pieces. Might be able to just pull that through actually. Here we go, that's easier. Bin it and start taking this stuff off. And, I don't know if they've done axles or what they've done, but generally speaking, the quality of work's very good. For the most part, not on the parts of the engine, that wasn't too good, but you know, the rest of it's not been too bad. brakes look fairly recent. Let's have a look at these. These don't look old. But this could have been, it's so well maintained, this thing. I mean, I'm not even going to bother trying to do anything with those. It just needs to be cleaned a bit, not even that. A lot of this hardware is really, really good. Come off you get. Those shocks are bloody good. We can use those. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. Sometimes you can push down and get those collars out of the top. They look like they're painted with a two-pack black, which means they would have been rubbed back, which would be a terrible shame. You know what? Even so, I think they're worth. I wouldn't dare buy new shocks for it because there's just nothing wrong with those. The swing arm feels like it's got some slack in it. Then I realise this nut's loose at the side. So I'm going to take that off and have a look. And we'll check the bushes out. If need be, we'll get the German ones, the bronze ones, and put those in. Oops, sorry about that, people watching this stuff. Let's have a look. They'll be just the plastic crappy ones. Just a minute. The original ones, I think. I might even get away with leaving those. Just repainting it or whatever. Those shocker bushes, rear shock bushes look pretty good. I replaced all those things on the 750 and then regretted it. Right, so I've got to drain the brakes. This is a regular 10mm. I haven't got a flare nut spanner to fit that. Mine are on the Imperial. So I'll just let it drain out in there. As you can see, it's beautiful. It's all coming out now. Hey, a bit overzealous with that. Just take this banjo off. It's difficult trying to do this and get the camera angle right. Just hang that up somehow. Could have thought this through properly, wouldn't it? That's fairly empty now anyway. Oh well, just let it fall down. No one cares. And I'll take the lever off and I'll release this from the clip on and then we can start taking the front wheel off. Caliber halves, A and B. And they're tight. So they will separate. And we can drag this one out by pushing the piston back into that tub. Did it pop out yet? Yeah, there's one. And the second. Let me see what you're looking at my shoulder again. Okay. Got our pads there. What if we just push that back? Yeah, not too far. And there's the other bit there. And again, this is. Oh, I'll put new pads in. They're a little bit worn. That's look quite old. But that's cool. Let's get a bit of underlay or something to stick under here. I've got some just sitting over there. Just so we don't rest the fork threads on the ground. Okay, this is going to pop out in a minute. Lock washer, flat washer, and some fork oil. So it's not too good. Right, so I pick the front of the bicycle up, pull you out, and rest you down there. Lovely. Oh boy, we'll just stick these generic 8mm nuts on just to protect these threads here. I don't know what these are from, they look brand new though, but they won't be probably suitable to use on the bike. I've got to take that. Oh, I've got to take this off, don't we? None of this is set up. So I'm going to do that, and then all this will release. There's a spring behind here. A lot of this hardware looks very much the same as the 750. There's the spring. Whoops, we'll drop that, but it doesn't matter. Right. Not a bad idea to release these while the fork legs are clamped in. Aren't these a fantastic little design? It's actually better, I think I said before, than the 750. Just with the amount of O-rings and bits and pieces it's got is a lot less. And the only thing, I don't know, I love the old naked Fords. The UJM's the Universal Japanese Motorcycle. I am absolutely besotted with it, I love it. So this now is about where I want it in terms of cleanliness where I'm concerned. We will get that looked at. I'll take it to work. The other one's got a couple of all gallery plugs I need to get looked at. The only gallery plumbing up here is through there. That goes up to the top, I believe. Yes, it does. That port there. And that goes up to the overhead gear through there, and the same on the other side. Have a look at the bottom. It's brilliant. It is stupidly simple. You've got the oil pickup here, which then goes... Hang on, let me turn it around a bit. I'm not doing this well. Oh, there are the crank stamps. B. And that's the same as the 750. So your oil pickup's here, through the bottom, straight into the oil pump, right? There are two takeoffs. This one is ported down yonder to the bottom shaft. This one here branches off to the two top shafts, which is cool, through there and there. As far as the crank's concerned, it just doesn't get simpler. It goes out of here and then straight up here to there. So we'll take that plug out, which is just into the oil filter, and then back in through here, and then along that rail, and that's where it comes out on the mains. There's a plug there, and there's one with a little thing that you pull out with a pair of pliers or something, which I might pull out now, and that's it for the oil system. It just basically has the pump in the center, a couple of branches off to the gearbox, and the other one just goes straight into the filter and then along here. That's it. And then these two upper bearings here carry it up into the overhead gear. It's such a simple, brilliant design. I think we'll continue with this. I couldn't continue yesterday because I couldn't find a 6mm Allen key, so I had to buy this. These are good. I never buy like tools, as in sets of them. I always buy just the tool I need because they always come with stuff you're not going to use. So that's what sort of prompted this. Actually, I'm going to take this one out first, might be easier. So I'm just going to undo these, and these can go and get looked at and coated and plated and all this stuff. I don't like painted bolts, never have. That's why when I do an engine, I never ever paint up the bolts unless the head bolt. I always do those. So we'll just undo this stuff. I've loosened those caps yesterday, so that should be quite easy. And then that fork should just pull. Oh, hang on, we've got to take the clip on. So that's what we're going to do today. Get this thing completely stripped out, and then what I think we'll do is give this the flick and rebuild the forks on the 750 because I've got everything here to do it. These things could be challenging to get out because they're painted, and so that clip-on should now. This is going to be a pain in the ass because it's got all this paint up and down it. It's probably been assembled while it was still a little bit wet. But we're not going to use clip-ons. I like the look of them, but I don't like the idea of using them. Jesus, hang on a sec. It's going to be a pain in the ass. God, look at all that. I don't even know what that is. What is all that crap? Alright. Oh, come on, that's a boy. Right. Can I get you off now? I can, which is rather good. And there's one out. Plastic Glad wrap. They can go straight in the bin too. And that is leaking, but not bad. That's completely reusable, which is cool. More of this blue RTV stuff. But they look to be really, really good. We'll just get rid of all this black stuff and we should have some nice stanchions under there. Even though they're leaking, we'll reseal them and clean them out. Should be good to go. Having a bit of trouble getting this one off. I've taken the stem nut off. I'll just put that on just to stop the thing dropping on the ground. I'm just having trouble getting this out. Here we go. I'll put it down gently, but I'm going to scratch that because somebody will obviously get some use out of it. Same with theirs. CB350. So that'll fit your twin. If that fits the Suzuki, I'll keep it. But I'm telling you now, it ain't going to fit the Suzuki. So I'll just plonk that back and put the hardware back and give it a nice clean. It's as good as new. Oops. Until I scratch it. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a really nice piece. I quite like it. And I'd like to use it. And the other thing about this that I like is the fact that we've got two 6mm holes there for mounting a nice speedometer sort of just in the center. Even though I prefer tack, that's a beautiful piece. I think they retail $100 or so, not sure, don't know. Anyway, that will be good for somebody because I sure as hell don't want it. We'll get this out. Put my foot under the frame. Come on, you son of a gun. Get out. All this stupid paint. And the paint's thick. It could have been brush painted, I'm not sure. And let's have a look at this. Piss the gator off because it's had it. Take a look at the stanchions, and they are pretty good too. They're certainly usable. So that's a good piece of kit that we can retain. Now anyone that's ever worked on a Honda motorcycle knows Honda have a trick up its sleeve. When you take these off, you get covered in 1,000 balls. So I'm going to hold the stem up from the bottom, take this guy off, and there we go. They're all still in there. We've got a couple of magnets because I want to catch them as they fall. And there's a whole bunch down the bottom too. Actually, I think we'll go for the bottom first. Here we go. It's raining balls. Lots of balls. Oh, come on, let me see your balls. Okay, look at this. Lots of balls. I've got loads from the 750 as well. Still coming. Hang on. I spoke to a tech and he doesn't like the all ball sets. He goes, no, I much prefer to keep it original. When he does bikes, he likes the Honda ones better. He said they've stood the test of time and people don't like them because they don't know how to deal with them, but I didn't say that, he did. So there's more balls. More balls, more balls. Alright, that's the last one. And so what we'll do is we'll clean up around here and we'll have a good look, and if that bearing surface looks good, which I don't think it will, but if it does, we're just going to put it back. Because they're probably cool to use, again. Now it's going to be tricky. I'm going to put my hand under here. I'm going to put that there, and as an added safety precaution, I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to lift this. More balls. So to begin with, we'll get all our balls and put them in a bag, which becomes a ball bag, because we're sounding crude now. And they're sticky balls. God, my jokes are just getting worse, aren't they? So we can clean all this stuff up. But if I see hardening all chewed out, we ain't going down this road. Simple as that. Right, a few final bits. We've got this front brake hose. That's the lower hose to the caliper. It's all crazed. You can see there. This one looks like it's fairly new. So we can reuse that one. So we'll keep that. We'll get another one of these. Hopefully it's the same as CB350. These can be a pain if you don't put them in a vise. So I'm just going to try and squeeze it like that and just get it off. It's the easiest way to do it. It's very effective and minimal trauma on you and the part. So I'll take this little banjo out. We're going to plate our banjos. So that square section there is an 18mm spanner. This one is Imperial 13/16. We'll just try and do the same thing. Which, oh, there we go. It wasn't that successful because I've jammed it. But whatever the case, we're good. We're really good. Alright, so We've got those. Not sure if these banjos are all the same, but we're going to have a look at that. Of course, these things have brake fluid in them. And an aluminium washer, which I'm having trouble getting out. And we put new ones in, because they crush. And once they've crushed, they're spent. You probably get away with using them again, but I don't ever bother. So I'll chuck them in a bag. You don't want to kink it too much, because you don't want to put any duress on those ferrules. So that will be fine in there. Until we go to put the bike back together. And we'll pop that in as well. I'll need another one of those, but you know what? That just tells me this is the top one. If on the off chance I forget, I know exactly what it is. That goes in the box. And this can just kick around on the floor because I just don't care because there's no love for it. And we will get these little guys here plated. And I'll put those washers in a bag by themselves so I know exactly what size to buy. Air filter goes through the top. Got the regulator, rectifier, side cover mount, starter solenoid. Got the battery retaining clamp, and we've got another side cover mount there, which looks different. That's the lower profile side cover mount. That's the high one on the electrical side. If you ever think of restoring something, don't follow my example because I'm useless. Most diabolical work ever. So I'm just pulling everything apart. The 350 is now almost blown completely apart. And the bit that I'm not looking forward to, I haven't done this too well, probably because I'm talking and not concentrating. The bit I don't look forward to, oh, screw, hang on, is the putting all that on wires for Warners. I'm not prepared to use another plater. I'm just not. So what's in here? There'll be a clevis. They can be plated. There'll be a square section washer. We're going to get this grip out of here. Right, so I've nearly got this thing stripped absolutely buck naked. I'm just going to stick a screw stick in there to lock that shaft. I couldn't get the 751 off. I had to give it to the shop to do, and they had a couple of bars hanging off it. But this one isn't too bad for an axle. That's cool. Probably because all this stuff's been out. That just slides out beautifully. And the speedo drives there. And a bunch of other things. There should be a spacer there, which I believe that is. Cool. We might plate that too, just to make it look good. Right. Yuck. That's all really. So we need to then take the disc rotor off. This I might replace. I don't think you can machine these, I'm not sure. So I'll just get a spanner. Where's my spanner? I had a ring spanner. There it is. We'll lock up the other side. Oh crap, we can't. We need an open ender. Just a minute. So we've got this thing, yeah, really stripped down. Like there's very little left on it. Among other things, I really do want to ride the thing. So that's got to go off to an engineer and have its, because it's a US bike, it's got to be engineered. That's alright though. We'll get through that with whatever we need to. It's such a bloody shame. I've got a minimum thickness there. 6mm. So I'll measure that, and if I can machine it, I'll just buzz that on a lathe, brake lathe. I'll get someone to do it for me. We've got to pull these apart, which is a bit of a shame, but if you want the sort of look I'm chasing, there's no other way to do it. So what have we got? We have about 6.99mm there. So that's going to clean up too. I'm not sure if you can machine these, or you're supposed to, but I'm not putting that back on. But very happy. It's such a well looked after bike. Headstock bearings are absolutely perfect. I'll clean these up. The surfaces are perfect. They can be reused again, so it's like a saving of $60. It all came out. It's been lubricated. It's been well maintained. The bike's a bit of a gem, really. Now, when we look at this, I'm not even sure how these go. I don't know which way. Which I'll need to, the lock washers are still there, but this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. I need to figure out how this stuff goes in the latch in relation to where the hinges and everything are on the frame, if you know what I mean. By the time I put the tank on, the seat frame, I'll be able to see when I take the paint off there, you know, whereabouts the hinges were, and all that sort of stuff. So it obviously folds up this way. I've got to take this out. What's this one like? Beautiful. Bastard's next door having a party. I think it's next door. I don't know where it is. Hang on, there's another circlet. I'm forgetting stuff in my old age. Get in there, you. Let's go. Oh, hey, that came out too. Hang on, another one. Good. So the frame's cable tied to a milk crate. Skew if because of the stand sort of protrusion at the bottom, so I had to do it on an angle, but it doesn't matter, it's quite rigid. It's just going to make it easier to cut the back and weld these bits back on. I'd considered leaving it all in bits and leaving it all together, if you know what I mean, welding it, but I didn't want welding splatter all over the tyres and that sort of stuff. But it's bare naked. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves and I'll see you around.